Okay, so for the most part, offseason is done. Okay, with the exception of a couple guys that are still out there. Let's see what we've got. Yasiel Puig, Edwin Encarnacion, Rick Porcello, Cole Hamels, Roberto Ozuna, Shane Green, Brad Peacock, David Robertson, and a couple other guys. But for the most part, all the heavy lifting's been done by the teams. So what I want to do now is go over my predictions for how the division's going to play out, and playoff predictions, World Series predictions, and also want to give my predictions for MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Cy Young Award. Okay, and I want you to let me know what you think. If your ideas are a little different, put them in the comments down below. Give me your feedback, okay? Now it's time to have some fun with these videos. I'm going to grade the offseason soon. I just want a couple more guys to come off the list. That'll be as close to the season, beginning of the season as possible. And I want to give incomplete grades because some of these guys still might make an impact on a team's grade. So I want to hold off on that one just now. But I think I'm ready to give you this one now. So let's start the National League. National League Central. I'm going to go from 5th to 1st. Bottom, I have Pittsburgh. You know, they've sent away two of their top pitchers, Jameson Taillon and Joe Musgrove. Yes, they got some solid prospect packages in return, but they haven't really done much other than that. They also traded away Josh Bell, so this is hopefully addition by subtraction that will impact them next year. But that still remains to be seen. So as of right now, I mean, they brought in Todd Frazier, the Todd father, and you know, with the stud rookie Brian Hayes, who I think can have a significant impact next year or this year. They're going to be, I think, at the bottom still in the National League Central. On top of them, 4th, I have Cincinnati. Again, they're minus Trevor Bauer, okay? Minus a couple other players as well, but they didn't really do much this offseason either. And to me, that was a little bit of a disappointment, too, because I thought they were going to, with what they did last offseason, even if they lost Trevor Bauer, I thought they were going to still make some moves this offseason of some significance. But, you know, I think they took a step back a little bit more this year, and hopefully, you know, with the expectation of either adding at the deadline or improving next year, like a 1 step back to 2 steps forward types of thing. But they're in 4th, in my opinion. 3rd, Chicago Cubs. Yes, I mean, they moved on from their minus John Lester, and you know, they could still potentially be minus Chris Bryant at some point, but he's still with them. They're also minus Kyle Schwarber as well, but they still have some, you know, they have Baez and they have Hayward, and they have Hendricks and Contreras, and they still have a lot of Ian Happ. They still have a lot of talent, obviously. They still have Chris Bryant, too. So there's still a lot of talent on the team, but I think they're going to be right at the 3rd, potentially missing the postseason. Now, as we speak right now, the playoffs have not been expanded, and I know they have agreed to not expand them at this point. That could change, which might change my playoff predictions for later on, in which, if it does, I'll make another video with an expanded playoffs. But as we are right now, the playoffs are not expanded based on what the MLB and the Players Union and all that stuff have agreed upon so far. So I have them in 3rd. In 2nd, I have a team who's quietly gotten better, Milwaukee Brewers. Okay, with the addition of Colton Wong and Jackie Bradley Jr., with those young stud relievers and young stud starting pitchers, and a bounce-back year potentially from Christian Yelich. And they have an elite outfit with Yelich, Lorenzo Cain, and Jackie Bradley Jr. They are, in my opinion, poised to kind of make a significant improvement this season and potentially compete for a wild card spot, which means St. Louis Cardinals will be leading the division. I think that the biggest impact move, the move that's going to have one of the most significant impacts this whole offseason, is the trade for Nolan Arenado and how it's going to impact that lineup, their defense, and just overall the club morale. I think he's got out of that cage, you know, that he was just unhappy in. In Colorado, I hate calling it a cage because the balls fly everywhere, but still, he was not happy in Colorado. They shipped him to St. Louis for, you know, a solid package of prospects, and I think with, you know, him and Goldschmidt together, that's going to be, you know, that duo is right at the top of the best duos in baseball. So I have St. Louis winning the NL Central. Let's go to the West. NL West, I have the team that shipped out Arenado at the bottom, Colorado. You know, they still have John Gray and Trevor Story, and they could still trade Story, although moving Arenado freed up a ton of money for them to potentially re-sign Story, but we'll see what happens there. They could trade him for another monsoon of prospects and kind of restock the farm, because I think John Gray will be gone after next year as well as a free agent if they don't trade him at the deadline too. So they're in 5th to me. 4th place was a team that didn't really do much either, with the exception of bringing in I think Joaquin Soria and a couple other guys. The Arizona Diamondbacks didn't really do much. They do have a young nucleus, a young team, and some really nicely developing players. But with the stuff that they've done, I have them in fourth, meaning the team that had one of the more effective off seasons I have ahead of them, the San Francisco Giants. I think aside from bringing back Kevin Gausman, the key move for them was bringing in Tommy La Stella. His versatility and his ability to kind of do a lot of things, I think, is going to have them one of the most significant impacts. And I could see them, finishing in third place. And the reason why I don't see them going higher than third is because the two teams ahead of them, I think, are just still light years away. And I do think, the San Francisco Giants will continue to kind of gradually work their way back up, but it's going to take a mountainous leap to catch the Padres and the Dodgers. Now, the topic can go either way, in my opinion, in terms of who wins the division. But as of right now, I see the Padres taking second place and competing for that wild card spot. They have closed the gap significantly with the Dodgers, but once the Dodgers brought in Trevor Bauer, I think that gap still remained. But they brought in Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, Joe Musgrove, got the Korean second baseman, and boosted the bullpen with Killa and Melanson, and they've made so many significant moves this offseason. And I said this in my most recent video, which is in the description below. With the exception of the New York Mets, the Padres have had one of the greatest off seasons ever. And I still believe that. So, but as of right now, I have them finishing second, very close to the Dodgers, which means the Dodgers obviously have them winning the NL West. They brought back Justin Turner, which is key for them too. I had originally thought they were going to acquire maybe Arenado or Chris Bryant, but Justin Turner was a significant return move for them. And obviously they brought in Trevor Bauer. They added some relievers too, and Corey Knebel and quite a few other guys. And I will go over all the players in my grade when I graded teams this offseason, but they're still the top cream of the crop. Defending World Series champs. They have that ridiculous pitching rotation with Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw. And don't forget, David Price is back this year, and so far he's looking pretty solid this offseason. So I think he's going to make a significant impact, meaning they'll have guys like Julio Urias not even in the rotation. Okay, but you have him, you have Trevor May, you've got so many guys there. It's really, really hard to count them out. And so, to me, the Dodgers are the favorites in the National League. Let's move over to the East. Miami Marlins, 5th place. They didn't really have much of an offseason, with the exception of a couple moves here and there. I still think they're kind of trending upward with their young developing players. I think Derek Jeter has them headed in the right direction. I think they'll strike when they need to strike, but it's going to be really hard for them to compete in this division over a 162-game season, particularly when the 4 teams ahead of them are so close to each other, and anything can happen. Which takes me to 4th place with the Washington Nationals. But, again, by a thread. Okay, they brought in Kyle Schwarber, they brought in Josh Bell, they brought in John Lester. They boosted positions in a couple areas, and they still have that 3-headed monster with Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and Patrick Corbin. And that's a ridiculous, it really is a ridiculous 3-headed monster in that rotation. And Lester gives them protection. Joe Ross gives them protection on the back end. So that rotation is top-notch. The lineup still remains to be seen. Yes, they have perennial MVP contender Juan Soto and a bunch of other guys too. But I think they're going to fall a tiny bit short in being 4th. But again, could they win the division? Yes. But it still remains to be seen. I have them in 4th. In 3rd, I had the Philadelphia Phillies. Yes, they brought back Didi. They also, obviously, they have Zach Wheeler now in the rotation, but they moved on from Arrieta. And they have Archie Bradley in the bullpen, which was a significant move. And they brought in a couple other players, too. They re-signed JT Realmuto, which was huge for them. And with that lineup, including Bryce Harper and everybody else they have there, again, this team can run away with it. But I think it's going to be that much. I think it's going to be that close. I think in 1st place to 4th place can be 3 to 4 games. A difference of 3 to 4 games between the first 4 teams, which would make it ridiculously close. So any team at any point in time, you get hot one week, you get down one week, you go from 3rd to 1st, 2nd to 4th. So it's like, it is what it is. But I have them in 3rd right now. 2nd place, I had the team who had one of the most ridiculous off seasons, the New York Mets. I could have them in 1st too, but I think the Atlanta Braves are still. They took the Dodgers to the brink last year within 1 game of going to the World Series. So I still have the Mets in 2nd, but with one of the most significantly improved off seasons. Adding Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco, adding James McCann at the backstop, Trevor May in the bullpen, adding some other pieces, Taijuan Walker. bringing back Noah Syndergaard coming back from Tommy John surgery. And then I haven't even mentioned Jacob deGrom yet, who's contention to win a Cy Young every year, kind of the Mike Trout of pitching. Their team is significantly improved. And again, I could see them running away with the whole thing. I really could. But as of right now, I have them second only because Atlanta added Charlie Morton, added Drew Smyly, and they brought back Marcell Ozuna. And with that young nucleus they have, those young hitters, and again, you have Freddie Freeman, you have Acuna. Any one of these guys could compete for MVP at any point in time. So they have multiple MVP contenders. So until they get knocked down, I have them winning the NL East. I do. And it's just, I can't see a scenario where they don't. But again, would I be surprised if they didn't? Absolutely not, because those 4 teams at the top are ridiculous. Okay, so let's move over to the American League now. AL Central, I had the Detroit Tigers in 5th. They've made some marginal improvements too. That they could move up a little bit, but as of right now, I think that young pitching, they're about a year or two away with those young pitchers. And the young players, Spencer Torkelson and Casey Mize, and those other young prospects coming up. Their pitcher from Vanderbilt as well. They're a year or two away from kind of making a leap. I think they brought in, who they bring in, maybe Alex Avila and some other players. And again, I'll go over their grade when I grade the teams, and I'll go over everybody that they brought in and subtracted. But as of right now, I have them in 5th place. Kansas City Royals, I have them in 4th. But potentially competing for 3rd with the Cleveland Indians. But just because they're one of the more significantly improved teams this offseason. Even though you're coming from the bottom, they've improved. They've acquired Andrew Benitendi in a trade with the Red Sox. They brought in Mike Minor for the starting rotation, Carlos Santana from Cleveland. So, they've taken teams from divisional players from teams in their division, as well as made significant moves. So they've improved their offense and their pitching. And they brought back Greg Holland and Wade Davis. Even on minor league contracts, I still see them both making the bullpen. So they've improved in a lot of different areas too. And Dayton Moore said he's willing to spend again. So do I think they're done making moves yet? No, they could make a couple of moves at the deadline. But as of right now, I have them in 4th place. But knocking on the heels of the Cleveland Indians, who I have in 3rd. Even though they have some young stud pitchers there, Plesac and Bieber, and still some young players there, minus Carrasco, minus Power, minus Lindor. And I think it's going to hurt more this year than next year. Even though they've got some good prospects back from the Mets, for those guys, I still think they're a year away, and I don't have them moving up. It's just based on the moves that the teams ahead of them have made. So I have them finishing in 3rd right now, but it could go up or down either way with the Cleveland Indians, in my opinion. But right now, I have them smack dab in the middle. In 2nd place, I have the Minnesota Twins. They're down Jake Odorizzi, and I think it's going to affect them a little bit more than some folks might think, and because he was one of their stabilizers in the rotation. And again, they brought in Jay Happ, but this is one of the last time the Minnesota Twins had a significant postseason run. They had, an absolute ace in Jack Morris, and it's been a long time. So they still need a number 1 or number 2 in that rotation I think, in my opinion, if they're going to go further in the playoffs. But they brought in Andrelton Simmons. They've made some significant moves too, and the team is deep enough to compete for the division, and they can compete for the division. But I think the Chicago White Sox they're the cream of the crop in the AL Central, and I don't see them being knocked down, particularly after bringing in Lance Lynn to kind of help stabilize that rotation, and Liam Hendricks for that bullpen, and bringing back Rodon, bringing back Eaton. The moves they didn't make a ton of moves, but the moves that they made were potent and effective, and I think they're the cream of the crop to win the AL Central right now and make a run in the playoffs potentially, particularly since they added the best reliever in baseball right now, Liam Hendricks. That move is money. Let's go to the West. Texas Rangers, I have them in 5th. They had one of the least significant offseason, the least effective offseasons. Yes, they got Chris Davis for Elvis Andrus. That was their offensive hitter trade. But aside from that, they didn't really do much. So I just don't see them making a move up. But especially with the new bullpen, I thought they were going to bring in some guys. The new bullpen, the new stadium. They're going to bring in more guys, but they haven't done so yet. But that's still, it's still early. And again, moves can be made, particularly since they're going to want to spend. 4th place, I have the Seattle Mariners. They can move up, too, with the addition of James Paxton and the young prospects, Jared Kelenic and was it Kyle Davis, I think, that outfielder. Absolute stud player, even though Kelenic now is injured and is going to need a little bit of rehab time. I don't have them moving up just yet, but I have them on the verge of kind of making a move in the offseason, particularly if their young players keep developing. And then again, they brought in James Paxton. I think they brought in Ken Giles for the bullpen and a couple other moves too. But aside from that, I don't have him leapfrogging up any just yet. I have the Angels in third. So to me, it's a disappointment for me. I have the Angels. I'm going to grade them at like close to a D for this offseason because you have the best player in a generation with Mike Trout. I thought they were going to make more significant moves, but I think they're waiting until Pujols' contract comes off the book next offseason for them to kind of attack. They might go after one of those top shortstops, so watch out. You replace a Pujols with a Trevor Story or something like that, different ballgame. Even though they brought in Jose Iglesias at the shortstop, I know he's a stud defender, but Trevor Story is a clear upgrade. Okay, let's just be straight with that right now. And some of those other guys could be a clear upgrade too. But they added a little bit on the pitching end, and you have Trout, you have Rendon, you have Ohtani, and I hope Joe Adell makes some moves forward because I could see them competing. I could see them, leapfrogging the second place team if those guys click. And I do hope that they click, but they still need pitching behind Dylan Bundy. Okay, they need more pitching, and until they do that at a significant level, I can't see them competing with the Astros or the A's. So the Astros I have ahead of them in second. They're minus, yes, they're down Verlander because of Tommy John. Zach Greinke's on a huge, steep decline, so I kind of had treat that as a minus, and the pitcher was at Valdez, I think, has a broken finger, and he may potentially need surgery. So they're down him right now, but I do see him coming back and him making an impact later on. But they also brought in Jake Odorizzi, so it's kind of a little bit of a wash in the pitching rotation. They have they just have that super duper lineup still. With Bregman and Altuve, and they're minus Springer too, so I think that's going to hurt them too. If they had brought back Springer, they did bring back Michael Brantley, but if they brought back Springer, I would have had them competing for the top, and right now I have them potentially getting second, which means the Oakland A's are going to be the division winners. Okay, yes, they lost Hendricks, but they did bring in Trevor Rosenthal. They did lose Marcus Semien too to the Blue Jays, but they did make some solid moves this offseason, but that lineup and that rotation is still deep enough, and that bullpen is still deep enough for them to win this division. So I have them winning the West right now. So let's move over to the East. Baltimore Orioles in fifth. Yeah, they brought in King Pedro. Not King Pedro. Felix Hernandez and Matt Harvey, but those guys are about 2 decades beyond their prime. What impact do they make? I don't know. I think they brought in who else? They brought in a couple other players, but there's nothing of significance that can really impact in this division. So I have them in fifth. Or maybe Freddie Galvis they brought in. Yeah, the shortstop. That was a good move, but there's still moves to be made. And players to be developed too. And they have the Adley Rutschman. I think they're going to give him time to develop too. But we'll see. But I don't see them moving up right now. Fourth place, I have the Boston Red Sox. Yeah, they're bringing back sales coming back from Tommy John surgery, but he's going to need time to find things. They're minus Price. They're minus Mookie. And they're minus Benitendi now too. And they have some young guys. They still have, Devers and some other players, but I can't see them moving any further. But I could be wrong. They could compete for maybe third. But as of right now, I have them in fourth place, meaning the Tampa Bay Rays, I think, are going to be the third place team this year. Yes, they made some swift moves this offseason, but being minus Blake Snell and minus Charlie Morton, I think is going to hurt them a little bit more this season than the next. Now, Wander Franco's, I think, is going to come in and make an impact. The absolute stud top prospect in baseball, but I still can't see them leapfrogging the Toronto Blue Jays for second, who've made a lot of moves this offseason. Adding George Springer, adding Marcus Semien to that lineup, I think is going to have a significant impact. They still need another starting pitcher, even though they acquired Steven Matz from the Mets, bringing back Hyunjin Ryu, obviously. He's their ace. They also added Tyler Chatwood. They also added a couple of relievers, too. But they're a pitcher away from competing for the division, in my opinion. And until they get that pitcher, I think the New York Yankees are going to be the cream of the crop of the division. They had a very quietly effective offseason too. They obviously did their number one move in bringing back DJ LeMahieu, but they made some sneaky good moves, bringing in Darren O'Day, Justin Wilson, some lefty and righty reliability to that bullpen, which I think is going to be significant now that Zach Britton is having surgery and his elbow and is going to be out for me a month or 2 or maybe 3. So that is going to come in handy now. So thankfully they did that. They also acquired Jamison Tyone in a trade, Corey Kluber, and they signed Corey Kluber. So if those two guys stay healthy behind Garrett Cole, the rotation is going to look completely different. But I can still see them making a move for a number 2 pitcher this either at the deadline or this offseason. So I see them adding a pitcher one way or another. But with the moves that they've made and just the addition of like Jay Bruce and I think Derek Dietrich, who could possibly both make the team with the offseasons they're having, and bringing back Brett Gardner, their bench is probably going to be a little bit different this offseason. But I think it's going to be a significant upgrade over what they've had. So I have them being the cream of the crop in the AL East, which takes me to playoffs. And what do we have going on here? The wild card, I have Toronto, and I'm looking at my book here. With the non-expanded postseason, I have Toronto playing the Minnesota Twins. Okay, I think it's about time. Like I said, the Blue Jays are a year away, in my opinion, from making a significant run. But I have them obviously making the wild card, playing the Minnesota Twins in the ALDS, and I also have the Yankees playing the Chicago White Sox in the ALDS. Minnesota Twins, right now, I have them beating the Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, they haven't won a playoff game in almost a decade. This is the year I think they win a playoff game and a playoff series, only because they're just a tad bit better and deeper than the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are deeper up top with the stud players. You got Guerrero and some of those other young players, Gurriel and Bichette Jr. and like that combination at the top. But overall, across the board, Minnesota Twins are just a little bit better. So I have them beating the Blue Jays in the ALDS, and I have the Yankees beating the Chicago White Sox in the ALCS, meaning the Yankees and the Twins are going to play in the ALCS. I have the Yankees beating the Twins. They're not deep enough to beat the Yankees yet, and I think Garrett Cole is going to have a Cy Young type year. So at the top, so I have the Yankees going to the World Series. Let's get over to the National League playoff. I have the San Diego Padres and the Mets right now playing each other for the wild card game. That one game is going to be ridiculous, but no matter who you put up on the Padres, putting up Jacob deGrom on the Mets is going to make it really, really hard for them to win. But that said, I have the Padres winning. I have the Padres beating the Mets bullpen. So not deGrom, but the Mets bullpen to go to the ALDS against the Atlanta Braves, meaning I have the LA Dodgers playing the St. Louis Cardinals in the ALDS too, which will be an absolute insane playoff series. But as we go right now, Padres, I have the Padres beating the Braves, and I have the Dodgers beating the Cardinals. And the two LA teams, the two superpowers, Dodgers and Padres, playing each other in the NLCS. So the way that it's just constructed right now, I see it happening, and which would be absolutely crazy. But I do have the LA Dodgers winning in 7 games to go to the World Series against the New York Yankees. And the way the team is constructed right now, let me just say right now, even though I'm a diehard Yankee fan, as you can see from behind, I have the Dodgers winning in 7 games. The Yankees still need a legitimate number 2 starter. I hope Kluber becomes that. But as of right now, the pitching depth and the lineup depth is just too much on the Dodgers. Would I be surprised if the Yankees won? No. But as of right now, I still see the Dodgers beat them. But it's going to take 7 games to do it. So, but it'll be a legendary World Series. It's going to be legendary playoffs altogether. So, now that we've figured out the playoffs, let's go to the award winners. Cy Young Award winners in the National League. I don't think anybody's going to pick this guy. I'm going to pick him Brandon Woodruff. Okay, I could pick other guys. You could pick Scherzer again. You could pick a bunch of guys in the National League. But right now I have Brandon Woodruff making significant strides this offseason, surpassing even his own teammate Corbin Burns and winning the Cy Young Award in the National League. MVP. The most significant move this offseason was the addition of Nolan Arenado, and I think he's going to have the biggest impact. Could it be Juan Soto? Yes. Could it be Acuna, Freeman? Yes. Could it be other guys? Yes. Could it be Fernando Tatis? Yeah. Machado? Yeah. A bunch of other guys. Even Mookie. I don't rule any of them out, but I see Nolan Arenado kind of coming out of that shell this offseason and having a huge season for the St. Louis Cardinals and making the biggest impact in terms of value to the team and impact to the team's performance. And so I have him winning MVP. Rookie of the Year, there's going to be a lot of young players, but I see Ke'Bryan Hayes from the Pittsburgh Pirates just building off what he did last season, and making a significant move and becoming the Rookie of the Year in 2021. Back to the American League. Garrett Cole, I have winning the Cy Young Award. I have winning the Cy Young Award this offseason and this season, and he's going to have a significant year this offseason. And have him just completely dominating and winning the Cy Young Award in 2021. It could be anybody. Okay, it could be any of these other guys, but I can't see anybody beating Garrett Cole for the Cy Young Award. Which takes me to the MVP. I think Mike Trout's going to have a bounce back year and win the MVP. It could be a lot of guys. It could be Springer. It could be Aaron Judge. But to me, Mike Trout is due for another MVP. He pretty much wins one every other year. And I see him having a significant impact on his team this offseason. And I think some of the other guys, I think Pujols is going to finish strong this offseason. And I think with the other guys, adding Joe Adell or potentially having a full season, and Rendon, and just the impact that he's going to have on that lineup and his team. Even though I don't have them making the playoffs yet, I still have him winning the MVP. And last but not least, the Rookie of the Year. There's a lot of players, too, that can win Rookie of the Year, but I can't see anybody leapfrogging Juan DeFranco from the Tampa Bay Rays. I think he'll have a significant impact on his team, and he is the clear number one prospect in baseball. And I think he's going to, even though they have a shortstop, he's going to slide in over at shortstop, and with the performance he's going to have and the groundwork he's going to set himself up for future years, I have him winning the Rookie of the Year, and I think it's going to be a landslide. So those are my predictions, my award winners, my playoffs. Let me know what you think. Give me your feedback in the comments down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so and hit that notification so you don't miss my grades for the teams this offseason and a bunch of other videos. Have a great week. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.